In 2014, the Presidential Commission on Election Administration issued a report calling for a modernization of the voter registration process, improved access to the polls, and enhanced voter technology. Based on these needs, the Intuitive Voting team conducted research to identify voter needs through user interviews and contextual observations during the primary elections in the spring of 2014. We also reviewed a range of existing voting technologies available within the United States and abroad to identify gaps and opportunities. We learned that voters were not fully aware of all the candidates and issues on the voting ballot. Voters also have to rely on their memory to compare election results with their choices. We also identified a lack of real-time information about waiting times at the polls and a lack of quality educational resources for election volunteers. These user needs drove the design of the Intuitive Voting concept apps, one app for the voter and the other for the volunteer. First, we'll take a look at the voter app and see how it supports voter registration and creating your ballot. The first time you use Intuitive Voting, it will ask you for your address and allow you to register to vote if you need to. The app supports quick form entry by optionally capturing information from any ID. The main screen of the app is centered around the next upcoming election. A voter can then browse through candidates and their provided positions on important topics to help decide who to vote for. The same is done for issues and propositions, so voters can be informed ahead of getting to the voting booth. Voter selections are displayed on the My Ballot screen. In the near term, this can be used as a guide when voting in person, and in the long term, this will allow secure online voting. Okay, now let's take a look at the tools in the app for election volunteers. Election volunteers are essential, but are typically provided with limited resources. The app provides interactive tutorials and tools to train and support volunteers at the polls. The Intuitive Voting concept apps directly address the user needs identified by our research, including improved access for voters and volunteers. The apps create efficiencies for voters using existing voting machines, while also enabling future online voting. Finally, Intuitive Voting extends the idea of voting beyond Election Day by keeping voters informed of candidates and issues before elections and results afterwards.